Hello, I'm Kevin Grimes, Chief Executive Officer here at Grimes and Company with another installment of the Bitcoin Diaries for you. Today is May 7th, mid-afternoon, so a little bit early this week. It's Thursday before the close. I just wanted to circle back and give an update on our thoughts on Bitcoin. Remember that this is not specific investment advice and that you should seek the counsel of a wealth manager. We have many very high quality wealth managers here at Grimes and Company that would love to talk to you. When we're analyzing Bitcoin, it's very difficult to fundamentally value Bitcoin. We are relying for this exercise on technical analysis. We're looking at trends. Is Bitcoin rising or falling? We're looking at cycles. Is there a potential for Bitcoin to be reversing in price? And other technical studies in order for us to try to determine the relative attractiveness for new positions in Bitcoin in any given time. We don't spend a lot of time thinking about selling. We think about accumulation and the potential attractiveness for points in time that represent good periods to accumulate Bitcoin. And we're in one right now. Why don't I bring everybody up to speed? So the last one of these actually was several weeks ago. We did on April 17th. And at that point, we had raised Bitcoin to a 6 out of 7 on our score. So our 7-point score, 4 is neutral, and 7 is as positive as you can get, and 1 is as negative as you can get. And we were recognizing that Bitcoin's trends had turned positive, the cycle had bottomed earlier, and that it was breaking out of some channels, and looked like there was just some positive developments. That was several weeks ago. Several weeks before that, we initially raised Bitcoin to a 5, and then again to a 6. So here we are this week, and why don't I just go ahead and jump right into where we are so I can share my screen. All right, so this is the Bitcoin futures contract as always, and a couple of studies that we follow. So these 3 studies at the bottom. The top one, the kind of jagged blue line here. This is the relative strength indicator. It's a very common indicator we use. In any charting tool or web-based application is likely to have RSI as a standard study that you could use. Generally, when you see higher RSIs, it's a positive market. Lower RSI would be a negative market. It's an oscillator. And so what ends up happening is that at times you can get some overbought or oversold indicators. So for example, back here in February, there was a potential oversold as RSI got below the 30 level. And then you could look at some potential tops at times when RSI was trying to touch that 70 level or so that can signal a potential top. So RSI right now, healthy, positive. It had been approaching and is basically near an overbought level, so something to keep an eye on. The middle study in yellow is our trend following signal, and the trend following signal had turned positive back in late April, and it had been turning up really since early April after bottoming out in February here. So right where it stands today, it remains positive. It's curled down a little bit recently, but it's slightly positive. It could be indicating early stage advance, which is a good thing. The bottom study is the cycle study, and the cycle identifies potential turning points, and it's not a perfect study, obviously, because it's predictive. And you can see that it's been trying to call a bottom in Bitcoin with these green signals here several times over the past 10 months or so. And for the first time in a while, really the first time since back here, almost exactly a year ago, we're signaling a potential top. This could be a short-term top. This could mean nothing. Could be potentially a short-term cycle top. It could be a reversal lower, an important reversal. No one knows. Obviously, it's predictive, but you can't predict the future. But we don't know necessarily what it means. But it is something that needs to be respected nonetheless. And so, looking at all this, considering that Bitcoin has kind of broken out its range, it's still early in the trend cycle. I think the weight of the evidence is still positive, but that cycle needs to be respected. I mean, things can continue or they can reverse here. If they continue, it actually would be quite bullish. And just if I zoom this out, trying to pick a good time. Let's look back here. This is back in 2023, and you can see another situation where we had Bitcoin, a bottoming signal here. We actually had very low RSI at the time, and since then, the price started to recover. The trend started to turn positive. And then sure enough, you got this cycle top score here. Bitcoin persisted and continued to ramp through it and just continued to rally through these different cycle warnings. And so when you start to see that, that's common in early stage advances. That could be what we're seeing here today. So if Bitcoin continues to show strength, certainly if the strength accelerates from here, that'd be a very strong signal for Bitcoin. But nonetheless, that hasn't occurred. We have to respect our signals, and because the cycle is on a sell, we're going to knock our score down from 6 back to 5, still positive, probably still reasonable entry point for long-term investors, but maybe just we'll see what happens with this elevated RSI readings and the potential cycle high. So stay tuned. We'll leave it there. It's really just a continuation of what we've been seeing the last couple of months. Slightly positive, slightly less than the last couple of weeks because of the cycle high. I think still I think good early stage potential setup for Bitcoin. See if it can continue on its advance. So there you have it. Please read the disclosures. Again, this is not investment advice. Investments are risky. Bitcoin's really risky, very volatile. You should see a investment advisor for some additional color on that. We're happy to help. So thank you very much, folks, and tune in next time for another installment of the Bitcoin Diaries. Thank you.